Würfelbar, schenk dir ein Spiel ein.
So, my name's Kyle Grundy. I've been playing Tau for too long, is the honest answer and short answer, but the actual answer is 24 years.
24 years.
Um, and I'm just a solo faction specialist.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with Tau, stuck to the army, and I think through just playing the faction for so long, I built up a bit of, I'd like to say fame, but I hate saying that because it's like fanning my own success.
Yeah, it's
But
always
um,
hard to do.
I they were always joking, like the Team England players and stuff, like, "Oh, when are you going to play a different faction? When are you going to play a different faction?" And I kind of outlived that joke.
Hmm.
So yes, I have won a few awards and a few tournaments here and there. I've got awarded the best in the world for Tau faction with the ITC rankings for a couple of years running. And obviously in the UK we have plenty of majors, and I've gone to the WTC. I've gone to all the UKTC events, frontline gaming ones, LVO. So I've experienced a lot of the different tournament scenes and done a bit of coaching on the side as well.
Yeah.
Coached team South Africa for the first time, attending the WTC for myself and their team. So yeah, wealth of experience, and I absolutely love the game. Always have done, and seeing it mature over the last 5 years has been an absolute pleasure to be part of the community. So, with
Yeah.
that in mind, I created my own community. After working with Vanguard Tactics for a year as a coach, I decided to run my own program. And the Pure Type program is essentially a place where you can join for the free community, be amongst fellow Tau lovers. And then if you want to maybe progress and you may be missing a couple of things, whether it's tactics, whether it's decision, maybe you're having a few barriers and you're struggling with a few things to overcome, then I do offer patron service at different levels,
Mhm.
range from your entry level Pathfinder to Shaspray, medium tier, Shassel, where we are hyper focused on tournament results, analysing the meta, and just genuinely my philosophy is focusing on behaviors rather than outcomes.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, well, you've had some real good success, and I want to go to a tournament and potentially win or podium. And actually, I reverse that and I don't focus on the expectations of outcomes. It's like have a look at your behaviors
Yeah.
and see how we can improve your consistent decision making and your tactics that you're doing to allow the outcome to look after itself. So that's where I am predominantly kind of focused. Discord. I do have a YouTube channel. We'll put all the links and all that stuff in
Yeah.
the
It's
description
down
below.
below to the
But
Discord and
honestly,
to the YouTube channel.
yeah. But honestly, if you just want to get involved and put your toe in the water, come and join, and then we can take it from there. But it'd be a pleasure to have any of you join and follow my YouTube and join in the Discord.
Yeah, and I can recommend it. The Discord channel is great. So many super nice people talking about lists and yeah, all the and their ideas and all the Tau stuff in general. And it's a very nice community. There's no good no bad behavior. You yeah, you really yeah. You're really good on their behavior. Also, I really like
It's it's
the,
it's
the
it's
channel.
it's actually it's probably just it's very been sorry. It's really easy to manage because
Yeah.
Tau community in general is very positive, and I
Mhm.
know there's a lot of the negativity when things change, but that's just across the board with 40k. That's not just Tau, but we are quite a welcoming and embracing community, and just been seeing it evolve over the last year, and it's amazing. It's really good seeing everybody being very positive and getting away from any negativity on Reddit or
Yeah,
Facebook,
that's
and then coming
no.
over into the Discord and enjoying themselves. And even if you're a hobbyist or a competitive gamer or just new, doesn't matter. You're going to be welcomed, and then that's just down to the community. That's not just down to me. I suppose I have started it, but
Mhm.
the rest of them, all the ownership goes to the people that have joined and made it what it is today. So, for those of you listening, if you're part of it, thank you, and if you're not, get a part of it, and then I'll thank you.
Yes, yes, I really recommend it. So, we're in a very interesting time. We had a great index, or still have a great index. You have great success in your recent tournaments. Yeah, being unbeaten, great results. If we read about results from tournaments in Tau, where they are better than ever, and there are very different lists which perform great. but now we got something. It's the new Tau Codex, which is super interesting and super nice. I really love the artwork and how the box is packed. It's the highest quality I've ever had in some of these new boxes. Very, very nice. I would like to have a little chat about with you about the new codex and your first impressions. I hope you still got a few minutes. Yeah, I'm sure you already had a read. What is your first overall impression? Do you like this book? And yeah, what?
Let's get straight into it. I absolutely love the book. Even before opening a page. Now, the old artwork, what I like about it, they brought back the old artwork. That I think was a 4th or 5th edition codex. Artwork. And just the emblem, everything about it, it just looks great. And then a new artwork on the back with the crew. It's just sexy is the word for it. It's amazing. Now, people looking at the different formations, and we're going to go into a little bit, but I think generally what they've done is they've decided to give Tau a complete facelift in terms of we've always been an offender in previous editions with drones and really badly worded rules or mechanics that have upset a lot of people. And I think this time around, they've done a phenomenal job of taking the balance from that we had in the index and then changing the crisis suits in a really interesting and exciting way. And I know there's a bit of controversy around this because, oh no, I can't take more guns, but I like the fact that they brought back the old crisis suit loadouts, like really the fire knife, and also it used to be called the Death Rain. And then they brought the Sunforge as a new one, and they've given them unique roles, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't want these big blobs of crisis suits. I wanted small insertion forces, almost like scalpels, to go and do a particular thing. And I think they've hit that on the head perfectly. So overall, first impressions, really good. We've got a Montcar detachment. We've got crisis suits with specific roles, and we've got Kroots as well that have actually now got a very unique and somewhat oppressive, in my opinion, detachment if used correctly in certain WTC formats.
I think there absolutely is a Kroot list, and even for team tournaments, I think the list will be. There is a list with a lot of bodies, which is super strong.
I mean, Fabian, in 1,000 points, you can put almost 150 Kroot in there. In fact, you can put 150 Kroot in there. 30 Filestalkers and 120 Kroot.
And how many OBSEC points this will be, and if you may add another 60 preachers and just play the board control game, and actually I think you can push their damage enough, and your durability is over the roof. We play orcs better than orcs do.
We're basically a endless swarm Tau rather than Tyranids.
Yes. So first impression, you really like the codex, and so do I. We have so many more possibilities to play and to write lists now. I really love it, and this is because of the new detachments. We only had Kion in the index, like every other faction, and now we have 4 of them. Kroot is one Car is one, and the Retaliation card, a hard name.
That's one.
Do you have a favorite detachment now, and why? You may have some thoughts about it.
So it's hard for me to choose because I'm looking at all of them and I can see the power of each individual detachment, including Kion. But I think rather than specifically just talking about my favorite, I think the one that's going to be the go-to for your average Tau player is going to be Retaliation Cadre, because it suits, and it's really good fun, and people are going to use the 3-inch deep strike and making their battle suits more aggressive. I can see that happening at the get-go. But I think for your highly competitive 40k players that are going to big events like well, any like WTC and stuff like that, going to be strongly going towards the Mont car. So I think actually from a tournament perspective, the Mont car is going to be the powerhouse. Simply because it's a reverse of Kion, obviously, but in the way that the mechanics of 40k work right now, people are playing a slow game for the first couple of turns, achieving secondaries, getting into position, staying for the big attack. But now with Tau, with Montcar, you can absolutely swarm the midboard, remove people's scoring units, and do horrendous amount of damage, which means that the opponent has to deploy further back. So if they deploy further back, we can activation lock them or stop them from doing their secondaries, whilst also presenting a huge array of guns very quickly. So I can see a list where Tau are no longer, let's talk WTC, because I know a lot of Europeans and obviously in the UK as well are heavily focused on WTC. Tau have been, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it's really important information, where Tau are a defender list. So they usually go for a defender 1 or a defender 2 in teams. But I think there's an interesting build now where you can actually be a prey or an attacker and go, I'm going to destroy somebody, regardless of bring it down or homers. Because you can stop them from doing homers, because you'll cover the center, and you'll absolutely destroy all their damage dealing pieces if they're not careful, which means that they're not going to get as many bring it down points as possible. So my favorite detachment from a puzzle solving point of view is going to be the Mont car, but I think the sleeper one is going to be Kion.
I am on your side with that. Kion already at the moment is or was really strong, and
so with my Manchester list that I took, I'll tell you right now that with the supposed points, which I know there's been leaks about, and but I won't go too much into that. But if the points are what we expect, my Manchester list. Long Strike goes down by 10 points because Long Strike isn't available, so it becomes a regular Hammerhead. Shadow Sun goes up by 10 points, so that's a net gain. My XV8 Commander, who's 80 points, no longer exists. And if Cadra Fireblades stay the same, I just put in 2 Cadra Fireblades, so my list remains the same. And it becomes more powerful now because of Wall of Mirrors stratagem for the Ghost Keels. And Shadow Sun can just go off the board, go back into Strat Reserve at the end of the fight, the opponent's fight phase, and also the guiding works better in Kion now. Because it doesn't give you sustain hits against everything, even if you split fire, but the spotter and the guided both get the benefit. So you can imagine a situation where a Riptide, who's already AP3 when you overcharge, spots for another Riptide, does the coordinate to engage stratagem, gets the benefit himself, and then they both get sustain hits too.
Obliteration.
I'll take that.
I'll take that too, and I also think the marker you declare as a trap. Something I was missing was rerolls to wound.
Yes,
it is super good. Now we have a way to more surely destroy vehicles if they're on the objective marker, which is very, very strong. And I think Kion is still very strong, and we had a lot of practice to delay the first turn and second turn, or the game in the first and second turn. And this damage is still insane, and maybe other people now have in their minds Tau can destroy everything even in the first 2 rounds, and then they play more defensively, not against you, even if you're Kion, because it's in their head. I think Kion is still super strong, and even if some people trash talk it, we now only play Kion, and it's super good. We have great tournaments result with it.
And I think the other thing to factor in as well is I know Tau are one of the most loved and hated factions of 40k.
Yes.
They're loved by Tau players, they're hated by everybody else. But I can tell you from just speaking to people, I'm not going to name them, but I know a lot of people that are going to suddenly be like, hi, I'm playing Tau now. And you're like, really? And they're like, I've always loved Tau.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little bit of a greater good infestation. And I think going to events now, the Tau mirror match is going to be a problem that you'd have to solve. So I think the Retaliation cadre beats Montcar, and the Montcar detachment can beat the Kion one.
Yeah.
But I think the Montcar actually is really good to beat all of the other factions out there. But the Kion or Retaliation cadre will beat the Mirror.
Never thought about that.
Now, I've had a couple of test games.
Yeah.
But the horrendous thing is that I'm kind of looking forward to, but not at the same time, is Tau Indirect is going to be oppressive in Montcar. It's going to be oppressive because the
This
one
time
unit
again.
that's probably never been seen in 10th edition really has been missile broadsides.
Yeah.
Now, missile sides in Montcar are horrendous. You give them the ignore modifiers, you give them the missile drones, you give them the SMS, you give them the high yields, then they've got lethals, you have Shadow Sun in the list for reroll ones, and you're just fishing
Sixes.
for sixes. Because if you kill a unit, if they kill one of your units, and you can then use that pinpoint stratagem to go, I'm going to have full Tetris rolls against them, lol. And then you're just going to shoot all the missiles in, and if you have 2 units of 3 missile sides, both doing in total 24 SMS shots between the 2 of the units, just going fishing and lethals.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. And broadsides are slow though, right? They can't possibly get into position.
They could never
Wrong.
move 11 inch.
Yeah, and they're wrong with the scout move, and I'll just scout move them 6 inches or 5 inches, and then auto advance. So I'm going 17, scout move 6, then 11, 17 inches, turn 1.
Yeah. Montcar's an obvious standout, but I think don't neglect the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to play crude, you can. Totally.
I could talk about that for days. Crew detachments, funny.
Yeah. You mentioned a lot of units now, which may be better in new detachments and will see play. Do you have at the moment a favorite unit or a best unit maybe in mind if you speak about Tau?
It's difficult to choose a best unit because with the index, it's proven that actually across the board, every unit is viable. It has its own role. But I've always loved the Breacher Devilfish, not because of the damage, but the amount of tricks that you can do with them, and the fact that they are OC too. And when I build lists, I look at the structure of primaries, secondaries, spotters, and then I put my damage around that. So I have a foundation to my list. So you could say that it's just like insert a Breacher Devilfish, insert a Breacher Devilfish. But I think the one unit that I'm going to choose as my favourite one, that I'm going to be really looking forward to trying out properly now, is the Farstalkers with the Trail Shapers. So you imagine having the Farstalkers infiltrate and then get a free redeploy, combined with the Grundy maneuver that Jay called it from Pantheon Studios with the Pathfinders and Scouting move. I could have 30 Pathfinders, 20 Farstalkers, and I know the solid image projector with the Kion one isn't as good as you think because it's before knowing who's going first. Otherwise, that would be insane.
Yeah.
But the redeploy tricks and the early game pressure is mainly my staple to how I assert myself on the battlefield before the games began. So the Farstalkers combined with a Trail Shaper is going to be a really interesting tactical combo, especially for achieving secondaries, because kind of, all right, well, I can deny my opponent their infiltrators. Okay, brilliant. So now that I've done that, actually, I want to redeploy them to go and do a particular secondary if it comes up on the cards, or if you're doing fixed, you can pull them back and do cleanse with on 2 objectives with that 1 unit. So there's lots of things that you can do. So the Trail Shaper with the Farstokers is going to be a nice little combo that I'm wanting to get in the list.
Yes, see, I tried it out in my first game, and 13 people completely stringed out is the whole board.
It is the whole board.
It is
because
the whole board.
because the kill broker, which is the team leader, is on a 32 mil. Then the other crew are on 28 mils now. Then you've got the 2 hounds, and then supposedly if the Trail Shaper is going to be on the 32 mil as well, you've got 2 32 mils that you can put on the ends, and then string them out more with your dog bone. It's insane. It's the whole board.
It's a whole board. I did it with the old crude models just for trying out. So only 25mm bases, 13 times, and was enough for the whole board. So you cover the whole board, and then your devilfish are not interrupted by scouting if you play Monar. This is super good. I understand, and I also love Preacher. It's a super cool unit, and the new how are they called? The small ghosts.
Stealth suits.
The stealth suits are a really good unit now too.
I think it should be called small ghosts, like ghost wheels.
In Germany, they are just called ghosts. It's Geister.
Geister,
yeah.
Yeah, nice. Is it? Is that? How do you say ghost kills? Is it Geister, or is it?
I don't know what. I just have the English, but the small battle suits are just called Geister, ghosts.
What's German for big?
A big groß.
Gross.
Yeah, groß.
Gross ghosts.
Großgeist.
Großgeist.
Genau.
Like 3 of them.
I really like them now too. They also bring the board presence and the new marksman abilities very strong too.
Yes, the reroll 1s to hit and to wound. Now, the other unit that I think is going to be very, very strong in the crisis suits is the fire knife. So let's talk a little bit about the crisis suits. So a lot of people are concerned that the reduction of guns or the flexibility of your weapon loadouts is going to be something that's a bit of an issue or they're upset about. Actually, the way that I look at it and the way that I would encourage people to look at this is that your crisis suits now have a built-in ability that can be given to the commander. So the Sunforge, reroll wounds, damage against vehicles. Well, that will transfer onto your Enforcer or your Cold Star.
Yes.
The Star Scythe, the fallback and shoot, will also allow you to do it with your commander. And the extra AP as well goes over to the commander. The ignoring hit modifiers with the fire knife. And the full rerolls to hit against a unit that's at full starting strength or the reroll 1s. So your commander now hits on 2s when they're spotted with reroll 1s if you're shooting something that's not at full starting strength or full rerolls to hit anyway. So actually, it gives some really good flavor to the commanders and obviously your unit. And I actually really like that, especially in Retaliation Cadre. One of the combinations I've been playing with was a fire knife with all the missile pods.
Yes.
1 gun drone, 1 shield drone, and then the commander had 2 shield drones. And he also had 4 missile pods. So then, and I gave him the Star Flare ignition system, so that you can go up and down at the end of the opponent's fight phase, and if you go second, you can do it turn 1. So this unit picks up, drops down, shoots something at full strength, gets the full rerolls. Then, the end of the opponent's fight phase, because you've got the range, you're staying out of range, you've minimised any firing lanes going back on you, you pick it up again, and you go and target another thing that's at full starting strength. So you just got this one consistent piece going up and down, and shooting things to death. I love it, and I think it's going to be really good fun. So that's probably my other favourite unit is the Fire Knife with the Enforcer and the Starflare ignition system on the Retaliation Cadre, and then the Trail Shaper with the Farstalkers.
Yeah, all these combinations sounds great, and it's a
really
great
good
way of turning it around. Like the bodyguards give a rule to the commanders, not the other way around how we are used to it.
Yeah.
Great idea, and this really bumps it up. Very cool. I understand it. Now you talked about you're already trying out lists and have ideas to come up. May you tell us about one list you tried out first, or you're trying out now and are excited about?
Yeah, sure. So I will load up one. It's my first test game that I had with the Retaliation Cadre.
Yeah.
So I don't mind sharing this. Let me just load it up.
I'll
So
put it
again,
in the comments down below.
Yeah. So with this one, bear in mind they are using the rumored MFM points. So please don't take it for gospel. These are just rumors. We won't know until we finally get the MFM out by GW. But a lot of people have been practicing with the points from the index plus the new supposed points for things like Crute and Crisis Suits. So that's kind of the rough idea. So I wanted to just go back to the love of the what was it called? The hero hammer, and just have loads of characters. And we all love back in the day when we could take the Enforcer with the special flamer, the thermoneutronic flamer, and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to kind of bring back a little bit of feel of the 8 in there. So I started with Commander Farsight. I put in the Cold Star, and I gave him the 4 fusion, and I gave him the grenade rack enhancement. So basically, grenade keyword, and when I fly over a normal move, I do grenades. And then I give him 2 shield drones. And then I went for the Enforcer with the Starflare ignition system. He's got 4 missile pods and 2 shield drones. I went for a basic Enforcer with no enhancement with 4 missile pods, 3 missile pods and 1 cyclic ion blaster and 2 shield drones. I then had Dark Strider because I wouldn't leave home without him. A Pathfinder squad, 2 stealth suits, so 2 units of stealth suits, 1 fusion, fallback and shoot support system, 1 gun drone, 1 marker drone to do actions and have the marker like keyword. Pathfinder's got the 3 ions, the recon drone, and the gun drone and shield drone. Again for the assault keyword, so they can do actions. And then I went with 3 Riptides, 3 ions, with the SMS and the missile drones. I did have a slight practice game with 1 burst tide, and I felt that was okay. So 2 ions on 1 burst tide. So playing around a little bit, but they're the same points. So yeah. And then I went for the Crisis Suits, which were a unit, basically 2 units of Sunforge Crisis Suits, all armed the same. So I give them obviously the fusions, the double fusions, the 1 gun, 1 shield drone, and there's 2 units of those. I went with a Star Scythe unit with 1 burst cannon, 1 flamer, 1 shield, 1 gun drone, and then I had my Fire Knife team with all the missile pods, 1 gun, 1 shield, and I rounded out the list with 2 units of Tetras. So that was basically 12 suits, 3 Riptides, 4 characters, 5 characters. I had Farsight, 2 Enforcers, 1 Cold Start, and Dark Strider. And yeah, all I'll say is that the test game that I had, that dropping in 3 inches is real good. So the way that I looked at it was, depending on the matchups that I have, Farsight can go in whichever unit is needed. So If I want horde clearing, I could give the burst cannons and the flamers +1 to wound. If I'm going against lots of vehicles, I can put him in the Sunforge. Very rarely would I put him in the missiles because the missile pod unit was there with the enforcer to go up and down and do range. The Riptides were very independent, and they were my kind of early game stage bait, survive, then pull people out of position for the Crysuits to come in and do the damage. So overall, really nice. I don't think it's an optimized list. I think I actually didn't need all the Tetras, to be fair. Like one unit of Tetras has been alright.
Yeah.
I love the stealth suits. Breaches don't really work in the Retaliation cadre, but I think what would really work in the Retaliation cadre is having tried to squeeze in 2 units of Crute just for the sticky objectives. So from a list perspective, or an evolution of the list from concept to more practice, I'd say that I can see 1 unit of Crute being in every list, but with Retaliation cadre, I think you want maybe 2 to 3 just to be your early game. I'm sticking objectives, I'm OC2, and then let your Crysuits come in and do the damage.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but you always start, or I do always start with an extreme form of the list, the purest, and then you adapt it to what you really need. But I think you have to test the extreme to see if it is a good idea.
Well, that's the thing. I definitely do, because this Retaliation cadre goes against all of my list building philosophies, which is just balance first, then put in damage. But the Retaliation cadre is designed purely on doing so much damage and whenever you want. Because obviously your army-wide rule, goes throughout the rest of the game rather than being limited. But the 3-inch deep strike, I think it's going to be fun, but it's going to be stopped very easily by people just taking more infiltrator units that have a deny of 12 inches. Or you're just going to have marine players go, well, there's 3 infiltrator units, 1 in the center, 1 on each flank, no. And you're like, oh, I can't do it now. So I do think
just
it's going to be countered.
This forces 300 points to the marine player. This forces super good screening. It's expensive for 2 CP, but just existing is, in my opinion, stronger than using it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the Retaliation cadre list that I just kind of cooked up when I first saw the rumored points. But the Montcar builds are very much going to be designed around breacher fish, missile sides, hammerheads, and then whatever stuff you can fit around. Because I think hammerheads, and it's a real shame, and I know everybody will join me on wishing Long Striker a fond farewell. It's sad to see him go. You did me proud, boy, but the fact that he's going away and now hammerheads are becoming more of the meta choice now is a really annoying point. It's like, why take him away now when hammerheads are good? And I think the hammerheads, for their points cost, are super good just to do the damage. And there's a lot of lists out there. Have a look at the Gladius Black Templar list with all the tanks everywhere. You're looking at 9-10 tanks. Like, your hammerheads can easily destroy some of those tanks in one go.
Yeah.
And I know people are going, well, Skyrays are good now with the twin links, but in my opinion, the hammerhead is still superior because your hammerhead becomes a Skyray for 1 turn because you get the 2 Seeker missiles, and an average that you roll on Skyray is two shots with it. So you go, well, for 1 turn, I get AP 5, D6 plus 6 damage, plus the 2 missiles. So I think the hammerhead is needed in the current vehicle-heavy meta. And then Long Strike, unfortunately, we can only take 3 now rather than 4 hammerheads. But hey-ho, it is what it is. But I think hammerheads are going to be a staple in pretty much most lists, or should be, even in WTC as well.
Yeah. WTC, we use it a lot because you really need a 10-inch movement broadsides without 6-inch advance. Just couldn't do the job till now. Maybe now they can, but the 10-inch movement is really important, I think. And yeah, in this game it's all about burst damage at the moment.
Yeah, and I think for those viewers who are going to be listening in and want to put
Yeah.
comments below, let us know how you would fix the Montcar the issue, because I've got an easy solution, and I've already sent my information on to those people that can say, look, I think this is the easy fix. And I talked to Josh at the Manchester event,
Mhm.
and I think at the moment, if you read the Montcar, the assault part is a separate sentence. So basically, you get your lethal hits from turns 1 to 3,
Yes.
but then you can just assault all game. So you can advance and shoot all game, right? That's counterintuitive to what Montcar is about. Montcar, it should be from turns 1 to 3, you get lethals, and every gun in your army has assault keyword.
Yes.
And then after turn 3, you're done.
Yep.
That's it. And that would solve the problem. So then everything has assault keyword up to turn 3, and then it's done. Right now, any unit that doesn't have access to assault keyword or gun drone cannot use this rule.
Great
But
word.
then if you have access to a gun drone, you can advance and shoot all game. So Ghost Keels and Riptides, unfortunately, cannot make use out of the advancing and shooting. Whereas Broadsides, because they can take a gun drone,
Can, yeah.
can. So all they need to do is go turns 1 to 3, everything has the assault keyword, and you get lethals. After that, you're done. That's it. They've solved the Kion detachment. That's perfect. The Retaliation cadre is fine. So's the Kroot one. That's the only amendment they need to make.
Yes.
And then it's solved.
I think this book was printed before they solved the problem when is a unit eligible to shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was probably sent to print a good 9+ months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
If
I
you
think
look
for
at the
those people
points,
that are
it's
maybe
about
worried,
this time, yeah.
yeah, it worried, like, I do not work for Games Workshop. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But just from a logical perspective, when I read that rule and thought, that's a bit disappointing, how can it be fixed? My logical response was, well, just make assault up until turn 3, everything has the assault keyword, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little oopsie. I think they're gonna fix it with the first FAQ / points, because it can't stay this way.
And it's the same thing with the evolution of how battle tactics stratagems are now free and free, but then you can only use battle
They're not,
tactics
yeah.
rather than before. And it's like, oh, but we've got all these battle tactics, and in Farsight can do one for free, but there's one that's a battle tactic that picks 2 units, so I can't use it for free because it's picking another unit. Ugh. And then the one where you go, oh, I'm dead, can I use it for free? But then in a weird scenario, you can, if your crisis suits die, but Farsight doesn't, you can use it. And then if they kill Farsight with a different unit, you could use it again. And then
Wow.
you're like,
Okay, never thought about using it.
yeah, so you could go,
Okay.
oh, you killed my 3 crisis suits, I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
So you've now got 4 rerolls against you. Oh, you've charged me with Helbrecht and you've slapped me with Helbrecht. Farsight's died. Well, I'm now going to use it on Helbrecht, so Helbrecht's now full reroll. So
Okay.
he can.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
That's
right.
one workaround. Yeah, but there's a little bits of cleaning up to do, but it's only because the game's evolved since the Codex gone to print.
I hope they
And
have a look at
your
the
side,
Retaliation cadre
yeah.
plus Farsight, because at the moment it's a little bit sad.
Yeah, and there's only one battle tactic, which is the Chasso Aracon, which it really annoys me for those people that are true Tau veterans know that Aracon isn't spelt with A-double-R-A. It's Aracon. They've spelt it wrong.
Oh
So,
no!
spelt it wrong. In my books are over there, but basically they've they spelled Aracon wrong.
That explains a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't even seen this. Yeah, great. Now I have a question, because I want to talk a little about my experience. How was your first game with the new Codex, a new army?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the way that one thing I fell in love with when I started to play Tau was the deep striking crisis suits and
Yeah.
being able to. I read a lot of books and I read a lot of the Farsight books and the lore, and I really liked the stories about Farsight fighting Tyranids and picking out certain key units and like the Synapse creatures, and he made those hover drone things that the Fire Warriors got up and then flew
Yeah.
over the swarms and shot, and then the crisis suits going in danger close. And back in the edition when we'd roll scatter dice and risk it for a biscuit, I want to get the hit right here. And then we had formations in 7th edition where you could like deep strike loads of stuff together. When I played the Retaliation Cadre, it brought back those feelings of excitement. It took me back to my roots. Being able to have deep striking crisis suits, swiveling around the board from one side to another, crippling a flank, delivering the killing blow. That felt really Towy. And I think that's probably just down to the fact that we've been playing Kion for like nearly a year.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a big burst of Montcar energy, and I really loved it. And it felt really good on the tabletop. And then same with the Montcar when I had games with Montcar, just seeing how aggressive your broadsides can be, and then just getting up close and personal and taking the battle to your enemy rather than waiting to see what they do. I really liked accessing my more aggressive play style.
Yes.
And I think what I really liked personally is that I've been using Kion in a Montcar way probably now for about 7 months,
Yeah.
because I've been utilizing the sustain hits 2 as a way of replenishing the stuff that I've lost, not looking at it as I'm going to keep all my stuff hidden and then I'll get my whole army plus 33% extra. I'm going to get aggressive. By the time turn 3 kicks in, I may have lost a third of my damage dealing unit, but I'm getting the efficiency back because I'm getting sustain hits 2. And I've focused on getting into good positions, charging, getting really aggressive, but having to wait for my army rule to kick in. Whereas now I can do the aggression, but get my benefits on the get-go. So if I'm going to go in and really go aggressive on a particular flank or start to pick out my opponent's scoring units and stuff, I'm going to be getting my army-wide rule. And I like that. And that's felt really kind of rewarding to me. So exciting, and I'm looking forward to getting it into events.
Yeah, for me it's kind of the same. I already played like the same technique like you. I was an aggressive player, taking position in the board in the first rounds, and most of the time all inning turn 2, because then I get the feedback. But my turn 3 was still strong enough because of this ridiculous Kion rule. So, and then I played my first game with the Monar detachment, and I was really like, okay, now I have to be super aggressive.
Yep.
And I was way too aggressive. I totally threw the game because I was too aggressive and too reckless. So it's a new way of playing I'm really excited about. I was a little too excited. And I think I think I played like 60 to 100 games with the index now. I really have to find the right way to Montcar, and maybe it's not a lot of more than I already did. I didn't know if I described this.
You have in terms of like you've gone full on Montcar, but you forgot about managing your resources.
Yeah. So I think it's not the. You have to train the new detachments. It's not it's not too easy going. It's not okay, new detachment, this army is just better. It's way easier now. I think this is not the case. And I don't think it's Tau are OP now. Not at all. Yeah, what is your maybe some last thoughts? Yeah, idea, or what do you think about the power level of the new Codex? Did it rose up from the index, or?
I think, all right. So as much as I'm an optimist and very positive person, there is a lingering fear that I have, and so not a fear, a lingering concern, that we are too cheap right now. So what I think is going to happen before I go into the why part, is I think we're going to have the same points that we have on our index, and then we're going to have these points slightly adjusted here or there for what's in the Codex. And we're going to have a 3-month until the next balanced data slate of Tau running riot on the scene and being very overpowered. Because we now have detachment rules and stratagems and combinations that push our index power up a tier.
Okay.
So, to give you an example, Montcar, Breaches, AP1. But now, if you had 2 Breaches with a Cadre Fireblade in each, you spend the stratagem to target 1 unit, and both of these have AP2.
Yeah.
So having 60 shots in total, strength 6, AP2, re-rolling wounds if they're on objective, and if they're not on objective, one of those Breacher teams is going to be re-rolling wounds. And then with the full re-rolls or re-rolling ones, and then lethals, it's going to be oppressive. So, because Breaches are only 90 points, and a Devilfish is 75, so that's 165 points. Put in a Cadre Fireblade, that's a 205 point unit, times by 2, that's 410 points that will just delete anything in the game. That's ridiculous. So I think Tau at the moment, for those Tau players out there, don't get too comfortable. Because if you think that it's going to be like this for the next 6 months, then unfortunately it's not going to be. We're going to get points increases when the next balance date happens, and rightfully so. With Tau, when we've come out in previous editions, like 9th edition, we've been stupidly overpowered, and then it's like it's no fun. It's not fun for the Tau player. Well, it wasn't for me at least.
No, it was
not fun for my opponent. I actually quit playing competitively for a couple of months when the 9th edition came out because I was like, I don't just want to indirect people off the board. And I think there's going to be a similar sort of thing that's going to happen with the Montcar one. So I am a bit concerned that if we stay at our current points, we are just too cheap. We've got all the trading resources and we've got all the damage now, plus Codex, plus detachments, plus stratagems. So I think they need to fix that. And I'd much rather have a balanced Codex than an overpowered one, because then it remains consistent across the edition. And Tau from the index have been consistently between that 44% and the 49%. And over the last 3 weekends, we've had a very good success rate. So we've suddenly gone on the uprise, and then we've got a new Codex. So if we push into that 60+% win rate, we're going to get nerfed and we become a problem and damages the overall balance of 40k. That's going to happen. So that's that first section out of the way.
Yeah.
What I think in terms of our Codex, it's strong, not overpowered. It's strong and balanced, but it's the points that at the current points level that make it, to me, overpowered. So if they are slightly put up by 10%, 10 to 15%, then cool.
Yeah.
I'd say 10%, like even if you change a couple of things like, I don't know, you put stealth suits at 70, or I'm just making up this in my head, but you put stealth suits at 70, you put a Pathfinder team still at 90, but then you have the breaches go up to 100. Even those 2 little tiny changes and a Devilfish goes up to 85, then it actually changes the list. It takes out one more unit that you... Yeah, and that's fine. But at the moment, we can just put so much stuff in our list that you can just deny the opponent the chance to play the game, and that's not fun. So I think the points are going to be the crucial thing here, but the Codex itself I find is really balanced. It's got some really good flavor, and it's got a different way of playing for all those different philosophies. You got people who like to play aggressive, Montcar's the one for you. People who love battle suits, Retaliation Cadre, that's for you. People who maybe hate Tau but love Kroot, they're probably going to come over and do the Kroot stuff.
Yeah.
Want to run a Horde style Tau list? Perfect. You got the Kroot. And then obviously you got the Kion detachment for that more tactical patient hunter, and I think that those like categories are 4 categories of at least 3 out of the 40k community in general: horde players, tactical players, aggressive players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have just accidentally realised when I was doing the aggressive players, I left my middle finger up, which I suppose it kind of fits with aggression, but
The English
yeah.
archer, huh?
So yeah, I think it's exciting times for Tau, but I think there needs to come with a little bit of a warning of, let's be sensible about this. We all know as Tau players right now, we are too cheap.
Yeah.
So let's prepare for some firm but fair changes in the next 3 months.
And by using the different detachments which have different playstyles, we also can adapt to the meta long term, which is very, very cool. And I think the uprise now in winning tournaments or having great results is some very good player want to be prepared for the new Codex and just start now to play Tau. This is my idea, because some of the players which have great tournaments result now, some of them I know, like you, but some of them I don't recognize as typical Tau players, and I think they're preparing for the Codex to really hit. And I think we're gonna see great concepts in the near future, and I'm super excited about.
Agreed. If you just have a look at the latest results, we've had Tau win Adepticon, and he's obviously taken the crisis suits out for the last spin, when people have kind of like gotten used to dealing with Riptides, and now he brings the crisis suits back. We had in the Tactical Tortoise tournament, we had all tank spam with like long strike, 3 hammerheads, 3 sky rays, 2 devilfish, 3 piranhas, all that, the tank spam. And then, for Goonhammer, and I came second, I got baited out on Pantheon Studios. I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to take Hammerheads. All right, fine. Then they came up with the SMS and that concept there, and then the Ghost Keels. And then for Manchester, I was like, actually, people want me to take a triple Ghost Keel list, so I managed to do the triple Ghost Keel list, triple Riptide, and that's done very well. So there's all these different Tau lists that have done extremely well.
Yeah.
Even at Manchester, one of my good friends, Marcus Hinson, who's been playing Tau for many years, probably almost the same amount of years as me, had taken a slightly different variants as well and did 5-0. So Tau have had really good back-to-back weekends, and they've all been different. And I think with the fact that our Codex is very in line with the index balance, then we're going to see different and varied builds. And I honestly think there's going to be a couple of sleeper lists all the time. And when they nerf one, the Kroot detachment will come in. And then they nerf that, then the Kion detachment will come in. So we've got plenty of stuff and plenty of tools to fall back on should anything get drastically changed.
Hey, look at a great future for the greater good.
Absolutely.
Kai Grundy, thank you for being there, and for all my viewers who don't know, please join the Discord. Kion program, it's in the link below. Also follow his YouTube channel where you do videos on a... couldn't you do triple the amount of videos? They're so cool.
I've just done a few interviews. One of the recent ones with me and Richard Siegler, and then we've done. I've done ones just demonstrating on TTS about how to pull off certain maneuvers, like the Dark Strider combo, and various things like that. So I don't have a lot of videos on there for now. It's more like small little golden knowledge nuggets, and I'll be doing more. But yeah, just keep an eye on that. The links are in below. But yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you for being here. Everybody, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye. See you in the next video.
Thank you.